Hey, what's going on, everyone? It is Josh Guerrero here, and welcome to the All Around Adventure podcast. Whether you're joining me for the first time or if you've been listening to the podcast for a while now, I certainly do want to welcome you here. And as always, I want to thank you for being here today. I know you're busy. I know you have a lot going on, and I also know there's a lot out there on the internet these days that's trying to get your attention, but it just means so much to me that you've chosen to download and listen to this podcast. Now, if you are in fact new to this podcast and you're not entirely sure what we're all about here, this is the show where you hear amazing tales from afar and get the all-important life lessons that go along with them. Those will, of course, be stories from myself as well as the amazing guests that I welcome on this podcast. And in this episode, you just have me today. This is a solocast. I don't really have a fancy name for these solocasts like I used to in the past. This is just simply the solo show now, I suppose. And like I said, I'm going to be sharing some of my own stories, my own thoughts, my own insights with you all today. Hopefully you can take something useful from this episode and apply it to your own life once you're done listening to it. Now, in this episode, we're going to talk about travel safety a little bit today, and I'm kind of piggybacking off of my conversation that I had with Marcus Torgerson last week. Definitely go back and listen to that episode as well. We discuss Krav Maga training, which is an Israeli self-defense and fighting system, and also just how you can keep yourself safe when you're out and about here at home or while you're out traveling abroad. Marcus Torgerson is a world-renowned Krav Maga instructor, so I was definitely very grateful to have him on the podcast and get his insights and share them with you all as well through the show. So we're going to be piggybacking off of that a little bit today, like I mentioned. And when it comes to travel safety, I'm going to say that travel safety is sort of done in stages. And of course, there's definitely safety considerations and actions that we will take while we're actually in country at our destination traveling. There's also safety considerations that we should keep in mind when it comes to planning our trips. And that's what I want to go over today. And I want to discuss 5 things that you should take in consideration when planning for your next trip that will help make your trip a little bit more safer. So to get into this, the first thing that I want to talk about today is to locate the embassy or consulate of your home country. And this can simply just be done by using Google Maps. I'm actually doing this for my upcoming trip that I'm going to be taking back to Europe, to Romania later on this year. And that is, I just simply typed in a U.S. Embassy on Google Maps, and it showed me the address and where it was located within the country. And also, furthermore, once you've located your embassy and consulate, I would also recommend trying to see if you can get a street view of what the embassy looks like. So that way, if you are in a pinch while in country and you do need to go to the embassy for whatever reason, you know what the building looks like, and you also can locate where the front entrance is and what that would look like too. So that way, when you actually get there, you're not trying to figure out where it is. You're trying to look for signs. You already know what the building looks like, and you know where the front entrance is. So you can just go straight there and not feel confused, especially if you are in a very, very stressful situation, potentially like, let's say if there's some sort of civil unrest or something crazy is going on. You don't have to do a whole lot of searching. You already know what it looks like and you're familiar with because you did that planning ahead of time. So that's going to be the first thing that I will mention when it comes to safety considerations when doing your trip planning, and that is to locate your embassy or consulate ahead of time. All right, the next thing that I want to talk about, and this is kind of going off of the first point, and this is going to pertain more towards American travelers who are traveling abroad, but maybe other countries, there may be a similar program, I will suppose, and that is to enroll in the Safe Travel Enrollment Program, or STEP. Now, this program is put forth by the U.S. State Department, and what it is you enroll with the embassy of whatever country that you're traveling to, and this kind of like lets them know that you're there. So that way, if there is an emergency or if there is something happening within the country that you're traveling to, the embassy will actually notify you of whether it's like certain threat situations or whatever the case may be. And you get notified just so that way you are aware of what's happening. And I actually utilized a STEP program when I traveled to Israel a few years back, and I would occasionally get text messages with just certain things that are happening within the country that the State Department felt that I should be aware of. And then also like if there is, let's say, a major catastrophic event, I suppose I'll call it, where you actually need to be evacuated from the country. This is also how they will contact you to let you know to come to the embassy if they know that you are in fact in country. So definitely a great thing to take in consideration. Again, just to have those resources at your disposal if something pops off. You're not entirely alone, so to speak. So that's the next point that I want to cover is the Smart Traveler Enrollment Program, or STEP. And I'll leave a link to that in the show notes for this episode, as well as any other resources that I'll be discussing today. All right, now the next point that I want to talk about is to establish your points of contact before you leave. And when I say points of contact, these are going to be people that you trust and that you can rely on. So that way, if something happens to you, or these will also be people that you will check in with every so often at regular intervals. So that way, they know that you're safe. And if they don't hear from you within a reasonable timeline, they know to contact the embassy or other authorities to help track you down. And now, normally I would say having at least two people that you will have as your point of contacts. And like I said, these need to be trustworthy people. These need to be reliable people. And you also need to establish how you will check in with them. Will it be via, like, let's say, WhatsApp, a Facebook message, whatever the case may be, and I think definitely a personal message, not just simply having them check your social media to see if you post anything while you're there. So definitely take that into consideration, having those point of contacts before you leave. All right, and the next thing that I want to talk about is to get traveler's insurance. And I know insurance is kind of an annoying thing to have, because a lot of us feel like we're paying so much for insurance that we hopefully will never need later on. So I know it can get kind of annoying, but of course, things happen. That's just really what it boils down to, is that things happen. Just because we want to go on vacation and go out and travel doesn't mean that trouble is going to follow us along the way. But I've kind of come to find that when it comes to travel insurance, the one that I usually go with is World Nomads. Pretty comprehensive plans that you can get at pretty reasonable rates too. I think for the week or so that I'm going to be traveling into Romania later this year, like my policy for basic coverage came out to just under $100 for the whole trip, which isn't terrible. And they cover a lot of things as well. They cover like emergency dental, medical, if you have like trip delays, and things along those lines too. So you get a good amount for that price that you're covered for. So that's definitely what I would recommend to you all as well, is to get traveler's insurance. And like I said, World Nomads is the company that I go through, as do many other international travelers that I know. But maybe there might be some other ones there for you to look into. But either way, I'm going to leave a link to World Nomads in the show notes. So do go and check them out and see what kind of rates you can get for any upcoming trips that you may have. All right, and the fifth and final point that I want to talk about in today's episode is to get yourself trained up. Get yourself trained in, self-defense. Like I said, Krav Maga that I opened up with, that I discussed with Marcus Torgerson last week. That's definitely a system that I would consider looking into. And then other ones that you may consider would be, mixed martial arts, Muay Thai kickboxing, regular boxing, jiu-jitsu, wrestling. I would say styles and systems that do induce like a good amount of stress. It's pretty stressful to, be sparring with an opponent and possibly getting clocked or kicked in the face, and also grappling with a training partner and opponent, and then also dealing with the stress of possibly getting choked off or possibly getting put in some other submission. And, just dealing with that stress and becoming able to cope with that stress, that's going to serve you well when you go out and travel. And if you are put in some stressful, potentially violent situations, and of course that applies just as much here at home as well. So that's definitely something to take into consideration, is to get yourself trained up. I mean, not only will this give you the skills to defend yourself, but it'll also give yourself the confidence that you would need to have that would serve as the deterrent to keep you out of those types of situations in the first place. And of course, physical training, that's something to take in consideration as well. This will help make you a hard target, where typically if a criminal sees you and you carry yourself with confidence and you have your wits about you, you're maintaining situational awareness, they just may be inclined to move on to someone else, because they know they can't get the drop on you, and that you wouldn't be an easy target to scam or to rob or to mug or anything along those lines as well. So get yourself trained up, and I'll see if I can find some resources and links to share in here as well. There's a few companies out there that are offering some pretty good training. I can think of Sheepdog Response. They have their Protector Level 1 course that I know they offer here in Austin, and they travel to other places around the country as well. And I'll see what other ones I can locate, and I'll leave links to those in the show notes as well. All right, everyone. So that's what I have for you all today when it comes to safety considerations when planning your upcoming trips. And so let's go ahead and recap these one more time. All right, the first one is to locate your embassy or consulate at your destination that you're going to. Again, can simply just be done with Google Maps, and then make sure you see if you can do a street view so you can get an idea of what the building looks like and where the front entrance is. Next is to enroll in the Smart Travel Enrollment Program, or STEP. And again, that's through the State Department. So that way the State Department can contact you while you're in country if there's an emergency, and they can also keep you updated with any safety considerations that they deem worth sharing. The next is to establish at least 2 points of contact, people that you can rely on and trust, that you will check in with at regular intervals. And if they don't hear from you, then they know to contact the embassy in the country or other authorities. Next is to get traveler's insurance in case something happens, because, Murphy's Law just doesn't magically vanish because we decide to go on vacation and try to relax. And like I said, World Nomads is the company that I usually go through. And so, get yourself traveler's insurance in case things happen. And the last is to get yourself trained, find a good self-defense system that you could get some practice with. Like I said, Krav Maga, mixed martial arts, Muay Thai, boxing, jiu-jitsu, anything that's going to, like I said, induce some stress, so that way you can get used to dealing with stress. And also this will allow you to carry yourself with confidence while you're out traveling. And that's what I have for you all today. I hope you found this episode beneficial, and you got some good tips and ideas for when it comes to keeping yourself safe while planning for your next trip. Do let me know what you think of this episode. I'm most active on Instagram if you want to connect with me over there. My handle is @allaroundadventure. That's just one word with no dashes. And if you want to see other great episodes out there, you can head to my website, allaroundadventure.com, or wherever you get your podcasts. And I also will ask, and I don't really do this a whole lot, but I will say, if you did enjoy today's episode, or if you've enjoyed other episodes from the All Around Adventure podcast, do leave us a rating and review. On Spotify, it's pretty quick to leave us a rating. So please do so over there if you got some value from this episode, or if you want to leave a more comprehensive review on Apple Podcasts, please feel free to do so. That definitely helps us get more visibility. That helps with the algorithms. So that way more people can find this podcast and get some value from it, just like you have today. All right, everyone. Thanks so much again for tuning in today. Be sure to check in next week when I release a brand new episode featuring another fantastic guest. Until then, I'm Josh Guerrero. Thank you very much for tuning in today again, and have an amazing week. We'll see you next time.